Hello everyone, welcome to Odia SS Odia tutorial. As you know that I committed earlier, today we are commencing our first sessions on B.ED entrance test, and we'll start with the English subject first, or we are talking about the session 1 on comprehensions. Just let I'll introduce the SS Odia tutorials to a free Odia tutorial channel in Odisha to look after the various essentials of the students in various subjects. So as a part of this our initiative, as committed earlier, we are premiering our first session on comprehensions. As you know that in our life we have come across through various stories, poems, questions and answers were unseen to you before you read them. In our life, we come across through various stories, poems, questions, and these are unknown, unseen earlier. When something is known to us, the answer is somehow or somewhere is in our mind to understand how we'll solve those problems. But the passages that are given in your B.ED exams will be unfamiliar to you. So similarly, in a comprehension test, you will be given a passage or paragraph, 2 and 3 paragraphs, and these paragraphs are unseen before. So these what actually these paragraphs contain. So these paragraphs shows the ideas, maybe some emerging and concerning issues and their solutions that a authors want to share with you. And the main task of the examining or the you people is to answer those questions by going through those passages. So there are some misconceptions regarding the comprehension test. Most of us, we know that there will be passage and the questions will be there and there is no tips and tricks. There is nothing to be worried. But there are some misunderstanding or misconception among the students. What are those misunderstanding and misconceptions? It is possible to understand the key idea of the paragraph by just reading first and the last sentence, but it is not actually correct. Most of us, we assume that we will go through the first paragraph and we'll go through the last paragraphs. We can easily answer those questions without going through the detailed passage and without understanding those passages. This is a misunderstanding among the students. They simply go through the first paragraph and go through the last paragraph and they go to the questions trying to solve those questions. Second misconception is that the question first will help to understand the paragraph better. What is our assumptions? That just going through the questions and going to the paragraph so that it will easier for the students to remember all those questions and answer the question correctly. But it is not always correct. It is not true. Why? The reason being is that it is not possible for a person to remember all those questions. You cannot remember all the 4 or 5 questions that has been given in your examinations or your test or entrance test. So sometimes we identify the wrong questions, as a result of which we get the bad marks or we get poor performance in the examinations. So also the questions are sometimes indirect in nature. Many times now the examiner, or we can say that the questions that are very smart, so they put the indirect questions, and as a result of which, and they are knowingly put those words which easily directed the students to answer those wrong questions. If someone is not understanding the question properly, it is very difficult for them to understand that. So the order of the question is not always in accordance with the progression of the passage. And the questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever is given, it is not always that as the paragraph flows, as the paragraph goes, normally the questions pattern will also goes. That is the wrong, that is not always happening. So that is the misconception among the students. So what skills required for that? How do you solve if these are the misunderstanding? How do you solve those questions? That the thing is that the logical abilities. Thing is that how your logical abilities is developed. How you are analyzing logically, you are interpreting the paragraph. Then the ability to infer, how do you draw the conclusion? Sometimes there will be questions that what the paragraph is tell about. So you have to extract those things. You require the ability you have to draw inferences. Logical means there should be some logic. It may be you have to prove there's some systematic way to solve the problem, systematic ways to answer the questions. Logically, either in inductive way or maybe deductive way, you have to take that. Analytical ability. You have to analyze the paragraphs into broad paragraphs into small part. Then reasoning abilities, maybe verbal, maybe you are talking about most of the written text. That means reasoning abilities has to be there. This type of skills is required to solve the paragraph. Then ability to understand the main motive of the idea of the author. What is the actual ideas of the authors that needs to be understood, that needs to be required skills to how do you draw those conclusions. Then reading speed, you may have more less than 5 minutes or the 10 minutes to respond those questions. So normally you will take the 5 to 10 minutes to respond those questions. So how accurately, not only speed reading but also how accurately, comprehensively you are reading those things. So reading comprehensions is one of the important skills is required. Then vocabulary power. Vocabulary power means how these words are used. These words are used whether maybe in the forms of alternate words, maybe some synonyms, or maybe some structure of a particular sentences. That needs to be vocabulary power is required. And remember some important information from the paragraphs. And so these are broadly, you can say that the broad skills are required. So you have to read the paragraph in a proper page and a proper appropriate time. You should have the vocabulary power, analytical abilities, logical abilities, inferences power, and also your reasoning power. So what important strategy you have to adopt? Important strategy, there are some tricks through which you can solve a particular paragraph appropriately. Read the passage as fast as possible, as quick as possible, but it does not mean that you skip some word, you skip some ideas, but as quick as try to read the paragraphs as quick as possible, because our learning theory says that normally you'll go from the whole to the part. So when you go through the detailed paragraph, you have a proper idea and proper understanding about the text, about the ideas. Then get involved with the paragraph to understand. Try to understand what actual the author is trying to say. Underline the important lines and part of the passage to answer the questions. Try to underline important points and important your parts of that passage. Try to translate a complex line in your own words and own language. When you are unable to understand particular structure, particular sentences, try to interpret in your own language. But the sole objective, sole idea should not be deviated. So try to understand from your own languages. The underlines or the marks keyword. Try to underline and the marks keyword. What are the various words are there that will help you to understand the logical connections between various words and the passages. What are the linkages with those words with the passages? Try to understand some certain unfamiliar word by reading the thoroughly. Sometimes we are come across some unfamiliar word which are very unknown to us. So at the time, what you'll do? Normally we'll try to understand those unfamiliar words and from the text. You're not aware about the word, but when you go through the passage, you try to understand what possible meaning of that word is. Then determine the main ideas, what is the mood of the author or the inferences, various reasonings, various reasons behind that particular paragraph. Do not assume anything based on your own belief. Do not assume that this should be like that, that should be, can be, maybe, if. This is, there is no place for that. So we have to trying to understand, because the idea is very clear, to make you confused and try to distract your mind from the original ideas. But when you go through the message, they will try to extract the best from you. So do not assume anything from your own personal belief. Look back at the paragraph when there is doubt. When you'll feel some doubts in going through the passage, try to go back one line or two lines to have a better ideas, and read the questions and the alternative provide, and choose the most appropriate one. And last one is the go through the questions and what are the alternative options are there, and how we'll solve those problems, so that it will be easier for you to understand what exact meaning is. So these are some important strategy that we have discussed. This important strategy must be followed. So as it is a process of practice, so you have to understand those tricks to solve, to get the better understanding about the paragraphs. Then there are some methods, some techniques are there. The first technique is that the PQ approach. First thing is the PQ approach. PQ approach means passage first, then the questions. First go through the passage and then to the questions. So PQ is the read the entire passage thoroughly, then and go to the questions. Read the questions. So how it will help you? Because P scan Q. P scan means paragraph scans. It will give a scheme and scan through the passage and keep going back. So it will give you extract. It will give you a summary of the passage. So P scan or the paragraph scan is scanning a paragraph is most important part of your solving a particular comprehension passage is that. Or when there is a big paragraph, what you'll do? You have to follow this 2PQ, 4PQ and 6PQ. First, what will they? Read the first two paragraphs and scan the all questions. In the first paragraph, are you identifying any questions related to that paragraph? If it is relating to that paragraph, solve it. Try to answer this. When you have completed the first paragraph, second paragraph, two paragraph, first two paragraphs, and you have solved those questions, then come to your third and fourth paragraph. Try to again go through the questions and try to interrelate whether these paragraphs has any relevance with the remaining questions or not. And last one is go to the remaining paragraphs and try to solve that. So this may be when, if it is related to, it is not necessary that the first paragraph will have the containing the answer of the first paragraph. It may be so happens that this first paragraph may have the questions of the fourth and fifth questions. So it is try to understand whether this paragraphs has sequence of paragraph has any relevant to that. This is the one of the important approach. Then second approach is the QP approach. Question first and then the passage. QP reads all the questions with their answer and option first and then come to the passage. So the strategy, second strategy is saying that go through the questions first, thoroughly scan the questions and then come to the paragraph. So it's like that. In the first approach here, first question in paragraph, second question in paragraph, third question in paragraph and fourth question in paragraph. Read each questions and each option, then go through the entire passage and try to answer that. And read the question 2, then go through the entire passage and question number, then is like so on. And Q stem P means just read the question stems, important question stem, or we're talking about core points without reading the answer options. Questions, don't go through the answer, just go to the questions and then read the paragraph without going through the alternatives. When you go through the alternatives, you will be confused because 4 or 5 options are there. So that will make you some doubt in your mind. So try to read the question first without going through the option and then come to the paragraph and try to answer by reading them with proper options. Then when you find some answer in the questions and try to establish those answer with your options, and you'll find there is any resemblance and try to solve that. Let's solve two passages and try to find out how these two approaches works together. First we'll take the paragraph to question approach. So in the, let's have a look on the paragraph. and identify those major phases, major sentences, the words which are really important for us. So the 543 elected MPs will be elected as a single, they'll be elected for a single constituencies, uh, will be elected from single member constituencies using fast post voting. The President of India nominates an additional two members from Anglo-Indian communities if he believes the community is underrepresented. The eligibility voter must be an Indian citizens, 18 years olders, ordinary residents of the polling area of the constituencies, and have a valid voter identity issued by the Election Commission of India. Some peoples convicted of electoral and other offences are barred from voting. They are debarred if they will have any criminal offences. Earlier, there were speculations that Modi government might advance 2019 general elections to counter the anti-incumbency factors. However, learning from its past blunder of preparing elections made by the Vajpayee government, it decided to go into election as per normal schedule, which was announced by Election Commission of India on 10th March 2019, after which the model code of conduct was applied to the immediate effect. So these are broadly we have identified major areas and just have to go through it and try to identify how these questions have any relevance in the paragraphs. So read the passage and choose the most appropriate action. Which word or phrase means disapproval of current political office holders in passage? Office holder in passage, which is against going against the political office holders. So first, pass the post, the blunder, no, anti-incumbencies may be right answer. So let's have a look to the passage first. Yes, is there any phases that relates to that? First is yes, anti-incumbency factors that is related to your anti-incumbency factors. So this will be your correct answer. Then coming to the next slide, uh, since when it was model code of conduct applied with immediate effect, we have identified few important dates here. So what in the earlier strategy we have uh, discussed about what are the measures points without going into the options. So we have announced, we can identify that they announced by the Election of Commission of India on 10th March 2019. Can you get this option there? So 10th March 2019. So second will be your correct response. Then coming to the next slide. When does the President of India nominates an additional two members from Anglo-Indian communities? So we have marked that the President of India's nominates two additional members from the Anglo-Indian community when if he believes the community is underrepresented, if the members are not, if the community are underrepresented, so that may be one of the correct answer. So if there is a three members of there are less than 543 members, Indian community failed to send the representatives. Then this is the fourth one is that this when the communities are underrepresented in your uh, parliamentary in the parliament. Okay. So coming to the fourth, what are the mandatory requirements to vote in India? So these are options. Must be citizen of India, definitely. Must be 18 and older, correct. Must have a valid criminal records, no. Must be an additional ordinary residence of polling area of the constituency. Must possess a valid voter identity card issued by the Election Commission of India. So we have marked few or that means indicator or eligibility. First thing is that we are talking about when you talk about uh, these things. Normally, you identify the eligibility voter must be 18 years, 18 years, 18 years. Normally, we'll talk about the 18 years. First one is the 18 years. Sorry, this is 18 years. Then we are talking about the he must be that same constituency assembly, or we are talking about sorry. Okay, so must be 18 years. Then we're talking about the uh, this is the most of the one of the very embarrassing situations that you know. Yes, so we are discussing about how the 18 years peoples can identify, then must have a constancy in possess a same polling area, then have a voter identities. But some peoples that you are talking about, some peoples those who are not have the criminal records, those who have the criminal records, they cannot convicted under criminal offenses, they will be debarred to get into the election practices, so can vote. So this is options maybe your Indian citizens 18 years must constituency, some constituency assembly and have a valid voter ID. So 1 2 5 4 and 5, 1 2 and 4 and 5, 3 will be not there. Okay, so this is your correct answer will be option 2. So we'll check the answer sections. You'll find whether we are answer these things correctly by applying the P2Q approach, or that means passage to question approach. Then we'll now come to the second approach. Without going to the passage, we'll go to the question first. Why is the Holika Dahan performed? Why Holika Dahan performs? Then coming to your which words passage means traditional. Third is choose the statement which summarize the entire passage. Which word phase means not intoxicated. And what type of adjective normally used for the thrown colored powder. So these are the 4-5 answers that need to be answered. So why? Let's come to the passage first. The Holi celebrate starts on the night before Holi with the Holika Dahan, where people gather, perform religious rituals in front of bonfire and pray that their internal will be destroyed the way Holika. Who is Holika? The sister of demon king Hiranyakashipu was killed on fire in the fire. The next morning celebrates the Rangwali Holi. So the why we celebrate? Because to do the ritual, perform the rituals, and to the internal destructions of our evil. So internal evil. So can you get this one answer? Why this the Holika Dahan? Because it is quite cold and everything is love bonfire. Because it symbolizes that end of the destructions of the evil of the foe. It because they symbolize the end of destruction of internal evil. Yes, this is the reasons we got that answer, that because they symbolize the end of destruction of internal evils. Then coming to second, which words in the passage means the traditional? Let's have a discussions further. For the peoples, uh, yes, the celebration start with the night before the Holi and Holika Dahan, and perform religious rituals in front of bonfire and pray their internal will be destroyed the way Holika. Who is Holika? The sisters of demon kings Hiranyakashipu was killed in the fire. The next morning we celebrate Rangwali Holi, a free for all festivals of color where people smear each other with color and drench each other. Water guns and water-filled balloons are used to play color each other. Anyone and everyone is fair games fans, stranger, rich and poor, men, women, children, elder. The frolic fight with color occurs in open market, open street, outside temples and buildings. Group carries drums and musical instruments, go from place to place, sing and dance. People visit families, friends, and foe to through colors. Foe means here talking about an enemy. To throw colored powder on each other. We're talking about the color powder. There was a color powder we're talking about. Then each other laugh and gossip. Then they share holy celebrates food and drinks. Some customary drinks. Yes, they're talking about the customary drinks is traditional. Includes the bhang made of cannabis, which is intoxicating. In the evening, after sobering up, people dress up and visit friends and family. In the evening, after sobering up, means when they use the bhang and intoxicated, they try to make normal and they dress up well and go to the friend and family. So these are, we can say that major points that we have highlighted here. Then this will be customary means your traditionals. Then which is the summary of that passage. There are two type of Holi. Already we have discussed the Holika Dahan and Rangwali Holi. So this is the correct answer. People do not celebrate with their food. Yes, this is the second option is wrong because even in Holi, even it is an enemy, we normally celebrate the Holi with your friends, family, and even enemy. So this is not the correct answer. So food and drinks are the heart of Holi celebration. Normally, as we know that this is already identified, the delicious food and drinks is one of them some customary drinks. So this is the one of the integral part of your holy celebration process. So this will be your correct answer also. It symbolizes the destruction of our inner evil and the demons. Already you have discussed in the first questions. So question 1, 3 and 4. 1, 3 and 4. So B option will be your correct answer. Then coming to question number 4, which words or phrase mean not intoxicated in the passage? So as you know that in the holy, normally we normally will take the what intoxicated things like the bhang, but after evening, after sobering up. So this is one of the word that we are coming into our mind, and people dress up and other sobering up. So sobering up normally will reduce the drink or when the नशा का जो उसका जो इफेक्ट होता है दिस नॉर्मली रिड्यूस इन द इवनिंग as you know most of you are observing the holy. So this is free cannabis not intoxicated cannabis which is type of bhang or it is intoxicated, so this is not there. The just word is also not there. Free for all, no, it is free for all. The intoxicated or free for all, but anybody can have that type of intoxicated, but sobering up in the evening we normally will take it off and will put up. So the not intoxicated means in the passage is the sobering up. And coming to the question 5, the which type of adjective has been highlighted in the word color powder? The peoples visit family, friends, and foes means family is talking about the enemies. To throw color powder on each other, laugh and gossip, then share holy delicious foods and drink. Adjective of quality. Quality color is color powder is talking about the quality aspect. Let's also discuss the other one also. Adjective quantity. No, color powder is not a quantity. It is not a numerical objective. Demonstration is also not a process. So definitely it is talking about the adjective of the quality. Color, there are various type of colors. So that is the one of the major adjective of the color. So let's have a answer on these two. And you'll find that these two approaches, progressing from the questions to the passage and questions to the passage, both approaches can be adopted to solve various questions. So this is all about your comprehension passage, on-scene text. These are two major approaches and the techniques through which you can solve your paragraphs. So hope you enjoy the video, and we like the video. If you want So small type of video, please do like, share and subscribe for more videos. Thank you for watching SS Audio tutorial. Have a nice day.